All right, I'll encourage your selectmen to bring the microphone close enough that you can be heard by the audience at home and others. And our first order of business following the pledge is the public comment section. Do we have any public comment tonight? Seeing none, we will move on to the next order of business, which is unfinished business. And we have Kelly Roberts, who's going to give us a update on the revision of the policy for the Text.MyGov, or really not revision, the creation of a policy for the Text.MyGov function of the town. The selectmen have all had the draft sent to them by Kelly a few days ago.
So, since that first meeting I met with you guys, I've worked with Selectman Huebner to refine and improve the policy. The first draft was the starting point to get the conversation rolling. I had some good information for what should be in the policy. The second draft was really when we started to get into the nuts and bolts to make it more appropriate to what we need as a town, where we focused on expanding section 1. And the goal for that was the appropriateness of the use of the app. We were expanding on what's examples of appropriate text versus non-appropriate text. The third draft, we were just building more upon that as far as putting a specific language so it's very clear that the app is for urgent emergency uses. It's not a casual text app. Like one of the examples of something not appropriate is like bake sale at 5 p.m. see you there, or something like that. It's more used for like middle road is closed due to a tree down. And there's examples of what a good text is versus a bad text. And then as far as, I don't have any pending for the text alerts. I don't have any pending posts right now, so we are starting fresh. And I was just hoping that I could get the board's agreement to get this going so we can move forward. And keep in mind, this is like a working policy. As soon as it's not working for us, we can revise it. So do you guys have any questions for me?
Cindy, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, I have none either. I think the policy is a good starting point, and as we pointed out, it's not cast in stone. We can change it any time, as we can any policy. All right, so I will make a motion then to approve the Text.MyGov policy as presented by the town clerk tax collector.
Second.
We have a second, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion before we vote?
As Kelly said, it's something that as time progresses, it's something we can amend as needed.
All right, all in favor of approving this policy as the initial Text.MyGov policy, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? There's signature block required here. So this will go into our new, actually be into our existing policy book.
Kelly,
Yes.
the phone numbers that are under emergency requests for off hours or weekends,
Yes,
are those yours and Diane's personal phone numbers?
they are, and we're both comfortable sharing it.
Okay, but you would want that redacted if this was to be distributed publicly? Yes?
I haven't thought of that.
So yes? Right? Because these numbers should be available to the department heads or for board members if they need to reach you outside of regular
Correct.
hours, but not to the general residents.
If it matters, we can redact the public-facing document, and then the internal-facing document will have the names that go out to the boards and committees.
Okay.
Okay, Kelly, thank you. All right, the second order of unfinished business, it's really not unfinished, but it's, I've asked if Pete would give us a update on any progress toward winter plowing contracts.
Picked up a 6-wheel dump truck today
with a wing plow and a sander. As a person who used to work for me 25 years ago, and he has some trucks, and he has a guy that lives in Epsom, and he wants to plow. He needs $130 an hour for the truck.
Right. So in the past, we've had, 8, 9, 10 contractors that sign up and have different types of equipment with different rates, right?
So he has a full-size truck, which is what we've been looking for. We still have the 1-ton trucks. I mean, we're still looking for bigger trucks. I don't know what we're gonna get between now and then. We still have some of the 1-ton trucks from last year. And, the 3 guys that work for the town. So, right now you're at, 6 trucks, 7 trucks. I'll take that back. You're probably at 7 or 8 trucks.
7 or 8.
Yeah.
So one of the things we hear every year, of course, is that we're in a competitive market and that the state and other towns, are vying for the plows that are available with the
Yep.
contractors available, and that we, sometimes get surprised that people that used to plow for us are now going to plow for the state instead because there might be some sign-on bonus or some incentive pay or a stipend, other incentives.
Yeah.
So are we facing that this time, do you think?
Nobody has come to me and said, I'm not plowing for you because I'm getting money for the state. Okay, I haven't had that. In fact, the truck that I just hired today, as long as you sign him up, used to plow for the state and doesn't want to plow for the state. So, I thought it was, because I'm pretty sure he found it online that we were looking for plow trucks, or he had heard it from somebody. So he had called me today and wanted to know if we were looking for people, and I said, yeah. And I was glad to hear that, he wasn't just a 1-ton, but he had a full-size truck. So, obviously, we're going to continue to look for 4 full-size trucks. And see what happens. We got it done last year. It's just better if you have bigger trucks. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah, so in that regard, of course, we have one less bigger truck because of our
Situation.
our situation. And so I'd like to bring Jared into the conversation because he last week was agreeing to help us search for a replacement truck.
I still want to talk about this, just to go over these rates a little bit. Can we go back?
Sure.
What were we paying 6-wheelers last year, Karen?
I think Bob got 125.
125?
I'd have to look at the bills from last year. And the 1-tons were getting 110 with a sander and a plow.
No wings. He's not looking for anything else?
Who? The guy that I
The
thought,
guy who you're referring to?
he didn't say anything on the phone to me.
Okay.
Is this going to be the going rate for all the 6-wheelers?
I would say so.
Okay, so they're all going to get 130?
If it's a full-size truck, yes.
With the
With the sander and the
sander and the
wing and everything.
Okay.
They have to have a complete full truck with everything on it.
So what about a truck that only has, let's say, a plow?
A plow and a sander?
A plow.
Well, obviously, we really need sanders because a plow truck, somebody else has to go sand his route. So would we take him if we were in a situation where we needed the trucks? Yes.
Oh, don't we have this listed? We have this listed somewhere,
We have a schedule, right?
right?
Well, we have last year's schedule. I think Pete's suggesting that we might pay $5.
Yeah, I know, but you got this much money for a sander, this much
Yes.
money for a
Well,
plow, this
see-
much money for a wing.
Yeah, basically, everybody who shows up with a sander and a plow, okay? The wing, most 1-ton trucks don't have wings. Bob, he on his one truck that does have wings on a 1-ton, because he's able to manufacture one and put it on himself. There are other people who can buy them and put them on there, but most of the one-ton trucks that have come to us in the past did not have a wing. If they did, it would make it that much better.
What can we do, in your opinion, to entice more people with real trucks to come plow for Deerfield? I say real trucks, but six-wheel trucks with wings and sanders. We either gotta do cutting edges or we gotta do a stipend.
That's
So,
what I found.
So, I mean, basically, the two things you just mentioned are what are going to bring people to do it. Some people like where they are and they don't want to leave. I mean, it's just a matter of, we got to find somebody who's looking. That's probably the big deal. Find somebody who's looking to come someplace or doesn't have anything to do.
What's it cost to replace cutting edges?
The ones that the guys have carbides on them, so they're a little more expensive, but generally they spend about $2,000 for each one.
Does that last the season, right?
Well, you can get standard blades too. I
How
mean,
much
you
are
could
those?
get the carbides, it depends. They last longer than standard blade. But I mean, if we're gonna buy blades, we could buy standard blades, because if, we don't know exactly how much snow we're gonna get, but if you were to get a amount of snow and you were going with standard blades, you'd be buying less blades and they would be less expensive.
What is the price of a
Ballpark.
standard blade replacement?
Oh, they're about half the cost.
but you're replacing them twice as often.
Right.
Uh,
So it goes on how much snow we get. If we don't get a lot of snow and you get standard blades,
Would you get a season out of a standard blade?
Depends on how much it snows.
I mean, that's the thing. It just depends.
And snow conditions too, because if you have one of those where we're scraping slush, you're actually wearing out cutting edges much worse than actually plowing snow. Do you know enough about the stipend situation that the state offers
do
to
not.
speak on it?
No, I don't know enough about the stipends at the state.
It guarantees a little bit of money every couple of weeks for
I mean,
people to sign
I have a
on.
basic idea, but I don't know exactly how they operate with it.
I can't remember.
And do they get the stipend whether they plow or not, or is
If
it?
you're
Yes.
plowing, is it? Yes?
Yeah.
I
So
thought it
what
was
it
only
is
if you went to cycle without
let's say
snow.
they don't get called out for 3 weeks, they would get a certain amount of money. This is based on what I've been told, if they only plow, they have to plow a certain amount of time and then the stipend goes away. And it's a shame that Gary Sanborn's not here because he plows for the state and he could nail it to a T. But generally, based on what he has said to me, that they get paid X if they don't plow. If they plow, there's no stipend.
Right.
And the actual details, I'm not 100% on.
I have it here. 10-hour minimum, so regularly scheduled trucks will be provided a minimum payment of 10 hours biweekly at the highest winter rate they are contracted for, minus the fuel adjustment for the biweekly period. The 10-hour minimum will be reduced to reflect any hours actually worked during that biweekly period. Hours worked will be paid at the contracted rate for the work performed, with the fuel adjustment included. This payment will begin approximately mid-November and continue for a total of 10 biweekly periods.
So it guarantees 10 biweekly periods of a certain minimum amount, whether they plow or not. And if they do plow, they don't get that stipend because they get paid for the plowing that they did.
From what I've been told, both Candia and Nottingham are offering that state matching scenario. And that's what the state, that probably came off the state website? Or the state-
Yeah, that's part of the DOT agreement.
So it's been a long history of this town that we've always could use bigger trucks. And it sounds like we're pretty far behind on what we're paying these guys to do it. So having repeat guys coming back year after year seemed to have been a little bit of a problem. We'd have to look at the numbers on it. I'd probably like to talk to Gary about it because I read it and every time I read it, I come to a different conclusion. And I haven't plowed commercially in 20 years. So if he could bring me up to speed on it, I think that we should try and get as close to competitive rates and arrangements as possible with the hopes of enticing
Bigger, better equipment.
bigger trucks with more reliable contractors. And I personally feel, I may be wrong, that one of these six-wheeler trucks can do the work of two one-tons. They just cover that much more ground. You take Nottingham Road, for instance, that's 4 passes to open it up, and you don't have the option of winging it back. We got to send one of our other trucks to go do the work of if a one-ton is on Nottingham, where one and done. Paul Smith plowed Nottingham Road by himself for 100 years. You could, yeah, you can just do it with less trucks.
Right, so our preference, if we had our druthers, would be to hire only six-wheel wing plow
You
trucks.
still need a couple one-tons for certain roads and areas in town and for intersections, but more larger trucks, the better, in my opinion.
So it seems to me that we're not sure if we're going to have to pay stipends and all that, like the state, but it would seem so competitively. However, Pete can continue to contact those that have been plowing for us in the past and see if they're willing to sign up, today with similar rates to what they had last year, let's say, or maybe a slightly higher rate.
I mean,
But if we need to, I think we should hold that kind of incentive in our back pocket, to use.
Or we can either
right
use,
off the bat, if we hire this gentleman at 130, the new standard goes to 130 for anybody with one of those trucks, because we can't pick and choose
Right.
as far as that goes. But if that's what it gets us to be competitive for $5 a truck,
Yeah, that's almost.
How are we
trivial, but-
comparing to neighboring towns as far as our rates?
I'm not 100% sure because
most
not in-
everybody, from what I've been told, is mirroring state rates right now. And they were kind of pushed into doing it over the past probably, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, the
But-
biggest
but-
thing is with our town, a lot of the guys that used to plow here are losing interest in plowing,
Right.
okay, because they're getting older. And
We've got good guys who plowed in town, who live in town, who plow in neighboring communities.
yeah, they
So
do.
if it's financial reasons to get them back, or at least entice them to come back, because it's amazing what
talked to
people
one
will
of
do
them-
over $5-10 an hour.
I talked to one of them last week. He's pretty well set up in the neighboring town.
Yeah, I mean, if we're losing out to, we just need to be more competitive if we're losing out to neighboring towns.
Right, so let's look to Pete to continue to contact and let us
I can talk to him
know
again
how
and-
successful we are, and then we'll apply incentives to.
I'm not saying trying to poach these guys. I'm
I
just
know that.
saying, what is it that we can do to make us competitive, to get us where we want to be?
Yes.
I think we have to decide, do we want to replace cutting edges and use that as an incentive, or do we want to pay a stipend and use that as an incentive?
I
Pick
think-
one of them.
Well, I think the gamble is the guys would probably rather have the stipend out of the two, because now they're getting paid and they're not plowing and wearing out cutting edges.
Yeah.
So I think the stipend would go a long way, because, a lot of these guys some communities in Massachusetts would do like a beginning of the season sign-on bonus. And that's the money the guys use for their insurances and everything. So I think that the guys would probably rather have the stipend money.
Well, yeah, like you said, if they're not wearing out a cutting edge, they're
Right.
not buying a cutting edge. And they're not gonna take a cutting edge and go trade it in for cash or anything. So, yeah, more than likely, the stipends would be more appealing to people.
But the gamble is that we don't want to be paying people for not plowing.
That's the stipend.
If we have a very mild winter, we might end up paying a lot of money out for
But
not
that's
plowing.
the gamble you have to take to ensure that when we have a major weather event, we have people available.
Exactly, and that's a pretty high priority thing.
Right.
If we did have a mild winter, what that would signify is that we're buying less salt and sand, okay? But the problem is these days that you might not have a big storm, but you still have to go out and put salt and sand down. And that is an unfortunate thing, because it only takes this much to make the roads icy.
But what's the policy to call people out, Pete?
I
When
wait
do
till the last possible moment.
I mean, I know it used
Seriously.
to be 3 inches.
And is it a 3 or 4 hour minimum?
Well, generally, if it's between 10 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning, and I can wait to call the guys out at 3, that's what I'll do. Just because you need a couple hours to kind of get going. And the only other reason I'll send them out earlier is if I get called from the police and they want something on, they're having a problem. Those are the two factors that I look at. So I drive around the town myself. I have a loop that I do, and I can tell from the high spots to the low spots on, temperature and things like that. And like I said, I try to wait as long as I can, because once they're in, it's $1,000 an hour. And if we pay more, it's gonna be more. So they're there for 24 hours, it's $24,000, not including salt and sand.
Do we typically send our town employees and trucks out?
They're
in
the
a
first
small
people I
event?
call.
First people that you call?
Our first people I call, but the other factor that the reason why we have to call the other people in is because they can't be everywhere. They have their routes, like South Road and Mount Delight, and then the smaller truck will go to some places, but a 2-hour lead time for 3 trucks isn't enough, particularly on a weekday. They're gonna need more trucks to get more area clean faster. And then depending on, I get a phone call from the bus company at, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, so they can figure out whether or not they're gonna delay school and things like that. But, so if it's a snowstorm that starts in the evening and it doesn't pick up until, say, between 9 and midnight, I try to go as long as we can, depending on how heavy it is, because it takes longer for them to clear the snow if the snow is deeper. Particularly the way things are going. So that's why I'm down there all the time. And that's why I have a lot of overtime, because I'm sitting over there trying to figure out what we're gonna do, as opposed to like just waking up in the morning and going, oh, it's time to send them out. So I spend a lot of time there trying to figure out before I call them in, because otherwise, if I call them in at 10 o'clock and they sit there for 5 hours before we do anything. So I'd rather have snow on the ground before we call them in.
Right.
And that wouldn't matter who's there, whether it's me or anybody else. You don't want anybody calling everybody in when the first flake comes. They need to wait until there's something on the ground, unless the police call me and say, it's gotta be done, and, that's a whole different ballgame.
So I think that's adequate report about where we stand on our plow so far, and we look to Pete, of course, to keep us updated and to keep working toward lining up what he can, and then we'll invoke any incentives that we feel like we need to be competitive to get what we need. I think we also want to thank Pete for several years now of doing a good job on plowing. I think we've had good experience in town with plowing in the last couple of years that Pete's been in charge. So we do appreciate that, Pete, and I think a lot of residents would also echo the accolade that you do a good job on plowing.
Well, like I say, it takes all of us to do it. It's a matter of making sure everybody gets there. And the worst thing that throws a wrench into it is when people call up and they go, my truck's not working.
Yeah.
That makes it a little more challenging. I have a few things. Griffin Road is paved. They will be doing the shoulders. He said he was going to try to get in here this week and get the shoulders done. So hopefully you can get that squared away. And the guys were speaking of trucks, Matt's truck, the newer 6-wheeler truck, had to go in. The oil cooler was leaking and it's cracked. So it's back at HRC, and that's another $4,500 bill to fix it, because it was dripping oil on the ground when they were using it, trying to clean up on Griffin Road before they paved. So they're going to probably have that fixed, I'd say Wednesday, Thursday. Matty was outside the truck while Paul was working with him, and he noticed that it was dripping, and it's a good thing he did, because that's not a good thing to be leaking.
So on that similar subject, we know that our older 6-wheel truck, of course, is in bad trouble with its frame, and we had a report on that last meeting.
Yep.
And Jared has been doing some homework on looking for potential replacement ideas for that truck, because we feel like we should replace that truck because of its importance to the town in many functions.
Yep.
So Jared, do you want to describe what you've been able to do?
I have been in contact with several dealerships that carry used trucks around New England. I'm uncertain whether or not we could swing a brand-new truck right now. I think that should either wait for a warrant article or possibly the opportunity to get on one of those grant programs.
I think that because of the warrant article we had last year, we're not allowed to buy a new truck.
Correct.
I don't think, I know.
A bunch of the trucks I was sharing with Pete,
I did look at the website that you were talking about.
trying to find a truck that didn't plow in New England to buy in New England is the tricky part. A bunch of the ones that I'm looking at actually came out of Delaware. They don't use salt as liberally as we use it. He's putting together a couple of them right now, and I have to go up and I have to look at them in person before giving a real report on them. On paper, they look pretty good. They're reasonably priced.
What's
and they're
reasonably
not
priced?
rusted.
Well, just to give the people a feel
They
for what
were
we're
in
talking
the
about.
mid-30s, low to mid-30s. He had several to choose from. And with trucks, specs are what makes or breaks a truck. It doesn't matter what brand truck it is. They all exactly the same thing underneath the cabs. They're the same axles, same frame, same engines. They're spec'd out well for what they are. I haven't seen any in person yet, but that's what I'm leaning towards, something that we could get a few seasons out of and possibly get some kind of return on investment when the time comes for us to buy a new truck. But we have to buy something because we are in fact short one of our own six-wheel trucks. And even as Pete was saying, our newest truck is getting to that stage of its life where it's gonna start having issues. But
Yeah.
we cannot buy, because of the warrant article,
Well,
A
you
brand new
have another warrant article which was passed in 2023, which said it's the expendable trust fund to repair or replace. And the word replace means buy a truck.
but can we buy a brand-new truck for what that value is worth? That's what, 100?
Well, the question is you're going to take the money, and let's say you wind up finding a truck for $35,000. It might work, it might not have any problems. And if it does, that's great. But if it does, then you're in the middle of the winter and you drop 35 on a truck that broke down again, and then we're going to spend more money fixing that truck. The question is if you're going to spend the money to buy a truck, do you try to buy a better truck? Because that's what that warrant article was for. And it wasn't just for trucks, it was for any piece of equipment that the town had, and the people did vote for that. So it's something that you guys might want to factor in when you make your final decision on buying a truck. Obviously,
So Pete, just to interrupt,
yep,
are you suggesting that we would buy a new truck, or are you suggesting that we would buy a better used truck?
if you wind up having to buy a used truck, I would buy the best one you can with the amount of money that you have. Because if you're going to spend the money, you want something that's certainly not going to break down. Because if you make a decision to buy a truck and it breaks down in the middle of January,
Yeah, I think
it's
we're
not going to
all,
look pretty.
we're all painfully aware of last year's incident where we bought a truck and
Right.
it needed a
So-
whole lot of work, and we didn't know that, and blah, 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 blah.
But the, like I said, you need to read that warrant article from 2023 and factor that into your decision. Because the people of the town were willing to give money to buy something if you couldn't fix it.
Yeah, and we should read the warrant article of 2025, or excuse me, 4.
Well,
five.
no, it was from
5.
2023,
Right,
And then-
2025, which we also asked. the
Yeah, but
town
that
about
was-
Buying a new truck.
but that was a separate warrant article specifically for buying a brand-new truck.
Right.
You already have a warrant article that also says that if you can't fix the one you have, you can buy one.
So
That's all
it's
I'm saying.
It's a little bit trickier finding a truck in that higher price category because it typically hasn't appreciated enough to where it's gonna be for sale. Like, they're harder to come by, but if you guys tell me shop for a truck in the $100,000 range, I'll do just that. You tell me to find a $10,000 truck, I'll do just that. I have a personal thing about new trucks. I don't really care for them as much as I like the older trucks. But if you guys are okay spending, you tell me the number, I'll scour New England and then some, try and find one and see if we can get a good value on it.
It's
I
going to be
just don't
hard to
wanna
find, like he's saying, but
Harder to find, but everything exists. You just might have to go a little bit further.
Well, I don't know that there's a consensus among this board in the current budget crisis that we face that we would want to encourage you to look for a $100,000 truck.
I also get nervous because we still have 2.5 other trucks that we need to keep running, and I would be nervous to exhaust all of those funds. And then the truck that Matt drives goes down, and we need 20, 30 grand to fix that, or.
Right. I would
It's-
anticipate that in a future year, we will have the voters authorize us to buy a new truck eventually.
Yeah.
And
If,
so,
under Pete's advisement, you think I should be looking at trucks in a higher price range, but not necessarily a $100,000 price range, I'm willing to do that.
I think if you're looking, obviously, you'd like to get the best truck you can for the least amount of money, obviously. You know, we all know that. The difference is it's a reliability issue. So if the truck breaks down, we're down a truck, just throws a wrench into everything. Those are all things that you have to worry about.
I wish that I didn't know how much brand-new $250,000 trucks break down, because they still go down.
It doesn't matter what you buy.
It's
things
gonna
down.
break. But I'll do that. I'll step it up a little bit and see what's out, maybe try and find something out of New York that's a little bit newer.
all right, so well, I'll just speak for myself. I would say that anything between 30 and 50 might be something we would consider, depending on its qualifications.
Well, I think Pete said it correctly. We need to get a truck for the best truck for our money. And, I mean, you can find a good one for 10,000, I don't know, but, I mean, I know you can't, but I'm just saying.
How much is
don't
that
put a-
warrant article for, Karen? That one, the trust that we have?
How much is in the capital
Repair
reserve?
Replacement?
So there's 130 in that.
Keep
think-
looking. We
I
got-
think you
we
just
got
keep
time.
looking,
But
and
don't look at $130,000.
No, I'm not. I just needed to know, because in my mind, I want a cushion. I don't want to spend.
yeah, you
all-
don't want to spend all the money.
Yeah,
I think we'd like to hear a proposal in the $30,000 to $50,000 range for a
I can do that.
decent truck.
So we've just been looking online on websites.
I've been looking online. I've been talking to people who have different accents than we have,
You don't want,
all over the place. Well, again, New England trucks are rusty.
right,
So
yep.
you go just a little bit outside Pennsylvania, parts of New York, they don't throw down the salt like we do. Or those trucks out of Delaware, they don't have the weather that we have.
Right.
So they're comparatively clean.
You need to go to Texas to get the truck we need.
I've
They don't
driven,
have the trucks that we're
I've
looking
driven
Oh, they
many
have big
trucks
trucks,
back
they just
from
don't have plows
Texas.
on them.
And that's the other thing, is I want to try and find something that's a little bit more complete. Because of the time frame we have time to buy a truck, we don't have time to build a truck. So finding something that at least has the plow frames and the wing towers and the central hydraulics on it is going to save us a ton of
Thought we
time.
could use the equipment that was on the truck that's going out.
We could use some of it, but
Things would have to be modified.
yeah, and it's
Because
going
the
to take
frames
time.
are different, because that truck's 31 years old. The newer trucks, their frame is a little bit different. You're talking about, you're gonna have to have some work done to make. The pictures of the trucks that Jared's looking at have plow frames on them. Do they have the wing frames? Because I couldn't tell. But if the plows will work on those trucks, that would be, you're not buying, and then the sander, get all the spreader, get hooked up on that, whatever truck you can find. Obviously, you're still gonna have to spend a little bit of money to get it set up.
So I think this goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway because of our recent past debacle. We want to make sure that this truck is fully inspected and, gone over, so there's no hidden flaws that we aren't aware of.
And that's why I'm trying to deal with, I'm starting at dealerships who will at least, it's a used truck. If you get any warranty, it's going to be minimal. But they're willing to stand by it to a point versus just buying something private sale.
Yeah, what we don't want to hear is we bought a $40,000 truck and all of a sudden it needs $30,000 worth of repair.
Like I stated at the last meeting, I am willing to take time out of my day to go do an inspection with the knowledge I have.
And I'll join you.
If Pete's available, I'm sure he would come. If you want to come, you can drive.
I mean, no matter how we look at it,
And we're still going to do a third-party inspection on it
You're gonna
because we
have-
got to cover ourselves.
there's still a chance, no matter what, no matter how much we look at the truck, there's still always a chance that the truck can still break down.
Oh, sure.
You can't,
Yeah,
there's
we're not looking
no,
for a
there's no guarantee that nothing's gonna happen.
And then the second thing you said, which was correct, is it is going to take some time to get this done. And of course, we don't have an infinite amount of time here to get this done. It is an urgent matter, I believe, so we want to make sure we prioritize this.
I've been prioritizing it
I know you have.
every day and taking time, like I said, that's why I want to find something as complete as possible that, a couple, 2-3 days tops worth of fabricating and upfitting and taking stuff off that truck and moving it over, and we should have something that'll be ready to go.
So if we do find a new truck, what will be the fate of our existing truck?
To be determined what's left of it after we rob what we need off of it to make the other truck work.
Let's say, well, can we recoup any cost off of parts or, anything off of it, just to
Tires.
help this out? Yeah. Anything? No.
The truck, like Jared just said, whatever needs to make the truck that you eventually decide to get complete and usable and ready. I mean, basically, you've got about 6 to 8 weeks. Because once November rolls around, you never know.
Right. Pete, do you have anything else on your list?
No, I think that's where we're at for right now. Obviously, you need a truck, and I'll continue to look for 6-wheel plow trucks. But we're gonna kind of have to take what we get until, we can get bigger trucks. That's it. And obviously, it's not like it used to be. There used to be a lot of guys in town who just plowed, and it's not like that anymore.
Nothing on Range Road?
I called them 2 weeks ago, and they were hoping for something by beginning of October. And I'll make another call to see how their schedule's going, and then I guess we're gonna have to see how the weather is at that point. And the reason I say that is, right now it's as dry as can be. The box culvert can become ready October 1st, and we get 2 weeks of rain. Not that you can't put it in the rain, it's just a lot more complicated.
All right, thanks, Pete. Again,
Do we
we
need
appreciate your efforts for the town.
Do we need to vote on him bringing on that contractor he was talking about with the
Well,
plow?
first of all, we have to get him the paperwork, so we can fill it out, and then you guys vote on all of the contractors.
Do we
Or
need to vote to adopt that rate?
The new rate.
I think Pete needs to bring us in a rate at what they're being paid again, because had one for last year.
So what we need is the new plow for this year, for 25, 26. So we can send them out, and everybody can list all their stuff they're gonna use. And then, we'll go from there. So I need that, and I told him as soon as I get that paperwork, I'm gonna email it to him, so he can fill it out, and I can bring it to you guys. All right, because everybody has to fill out the paperwork, send in all the insurance, all that stuff. We ain't hire him until we get a certificate of insurance, or, well, I shouldn't say hire him. He can't work until he gets a certificate of insurance. And, his truck's up to par, passing inspection and all that stuff.
But in the negotiation or discussion with each one, don't you have to kind of indicate what you're willing to pay for that, so they can decide whether they want to?
I tell him
fill
that
out-
you're gonna write him a check, Will. No, what it is most of the people, not all of them, pretty much have been plowing for a considerable amount of time, and they're looking for X amount of money based on the time and the things that they have to do to their truck to keep it operational. So, yeah, no, I'm not gonna tell somebody we're gonna pay them $150 an hour, because you can't pay one and somebody else something else, because then we're gonna have anarchy.
But if you are going to offer more than we have in the past, don't we need some kind of a approval of increasing the
I
rate?
think what we should do is if somebody asks me for more, we need to see how many trucks we have, who's gonna come, and they meet all the requirements before we decide to offer more.
Okay, fair enough.
I would just rather make sure that when we make that decision to pay somebody more money, that, you know, it can follow through and everybody's on the same page, because certainly wouldn't want a bunch of people down there, well, he gets paid this much, I get paid this much.
Well,
We don't
in the
want any of
past,
that.
we've had a list,
Yeah.
so that's what we need. We need that list again.
We need
Yeah.
a new list and we need to amend it to where we want to
Right.
be.
So the first thing we want to do, though, is get the 25, 26 plow contract out, and so we know what their equipment is, and then we can go from there.
Okay, so
move
Karen,
forward.
I think you can help with Pete to do that, get that contract out as a
It's
proposed
basically the
contract.
same as last year, we just need to get the dates on it right,
Okay.
all right?
And then Pete, you can advise us about the need to raise rates, and then we can prove it here. We just don't want to have an approval with a blank check, obviously. So,
That's right.
okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next order of business is new business. And the new business first item, in fact, the only item in new business I have on the agenda is the 7 items of budget packets that we're going to be starting our budget process. Before we do that, I want to, just for the sake of the public, remind ourselves what the process is. So the department heads create budget packets that are then distributed to the selectmen as their proposed budgets to us. We ask some of them, or all of them, we ask them to come in and to kind of present and defend their budgets to us, to give us a starting point. It doesn't mean that we have to approve these tonight. We can take them under advisement and discuss them and offer alternatives and ask more questions, get more information. And then once we are satisfied that we've received all the packets and we've asked the questions, we also get the chance then to go through it ourselves, and we'll do that using the screen and showing people at home what all those budget packets contain. Once that's completed and we decide we're happy with the budget as we've prepared it, then we will approve it and we will send it on to the MBC, in which case it becomes their budget. They can change it at their own will. They don't need our permission. They don't need to come to us and say, is it all right if we change a number in your budget? It's not our budget anymore. It becomes the MBC's budget. They own it. And they can change it at will under certain RSA rules that they operate under. And then once that process is complete and they are satisfied with the budget as elected officials of the people, they will approve it for going onward to the next step, which is the deliberative session. In the deliberative session, the citizens get a chance to not only look at the budgets, but also at warrant articles that have been prepared. And they have full power to change budgets and to, not full power, but power under the RSAs with certain restrictions, to change budgets and to approve or modify warrant articles, not approve, but to modify them or to approve that they go on as written. And once that is done, all of those things that come out of that deliberative session are indeed the ballot items that go to the ballot. They can't be changed any further by any other process, and they become the March ballot for the election. So that is the process. I would invite the public to participate in this process as much as you want to and need to, by coming to the select board meetings, by listening to the select board meetings, by coming to the MBC meetings and listening to those MBC meetings, and of course to attend the deliberative session, which is the town meeting essentially, where you get to say the final say on what gets on the ballot that you vote on in March. So that being said, is there any other comment about the process or anything any selectmen want to say as we begin this journey? We've done this many times before. I also inform you that the selectmen have a representative that they appoint to the MBC to be their representative at the MBC, to present the town budget to them, to answer questions with Karen. Karen is at each of those meetings and answers questions alongside of me. I happen to be the person that we elected a few months ago to represent the Board of Selectmen at the MBC meetings, and so I attend all those meetings. Kendra Cohen is a similar person from the school who is appointed to the MBC to represent the school district and to answer questions on their budget. With that, why don't we wade into, I think you will have in your budget pack, you have a budget pack. And in that budget pack, we have these initial budgets. The first one is the supervisor of the checklist. I see we have Joanna here, so let's get started on this. The objective is to create a budget that is acceptable to the voters and aligns with their priorities so that they want to approve it and allow us to spend the money that we are asking for. We cannot spend a dime without the approval of the voters. So we can't add a dime or take away a dime. We have the money that the voters approve. All right, Joanna.
Okay, I'm Joanna Waring, supervisor of the checklist. So for our budget varies depending on how many elections we have every year. So our budget will go up and down. Next year in 2026 is what we'll consider our medium. It's going to be 2 deliberative sessions, a town election, a general primary, and a general election. So you'll see our numbers fluctuate. If you compare them with the default budget, that was, I believe, 2017, which was our quiet year, where there was only 1 election and 2 deliberative sessions, so you're going to see a bigger change. So in this top, I don't know, I guess you guys got the same sheet?
I think so.
We have a sheet. I don't know if it's the
Okay.
same as what
Like
you.
that one.
Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, so the first part on the supervisors of the checklist is the stipend that we get, and it lists the different elections and with the hours. That's why I was wondering if you already had that breakdown.
We do.
Okay, so you can see there, I list the different, the elections and then the batching process after the elections. We do then have additional, we have meetings leading up to the elections plus regular meetings to update the checklist. The state is changing a requirement. We have what we call this voter verification process that used to happen every 10 years. Starting in 2026, we're going to do it every year. So that's going to affect a couple of our columns because it's a particular statute that governs how we do that. So this top section is the hours that we anticipate to work next year based on the election cycle. The second section is the mileage. The default budget was $120. We have it reduced down to $50. We primarily use that for when we go to training sessions with the state, because they're usually up in Concord, or I went to one in Rochester once. So that's reduced from the default from 120 down to 50. Legal notices are going up because part of the voter verification process, it does require us to put notice in the newspaper. So that was something we did once every 10 years, and I don't remember what it cost when we did it in 2021. I put $200 because I know it's not cheap to put 2 days, a notice in for 2 days and with the Concord Monitor. So that has an increase because of that.
Can I interrupt for a second? So this is a requirement of the new voter verification process?
Right, the voter verification process has always been there, but it's once every 10 years.
Right.
As
So,
of 2026, it's now going to be done yearly.
okay. My question is, in the default budget, do you know how much is there for the legal notice? Do you happen to know that?
Well, the default budget was from 2017. So the voter verification was done in 2021, 2011, it's always done with a 1. So in 2017, there would not have been a voter verification.
Right, so do you think that there was a 0 there, or just a small amount?
There was $1 in the
$1,
default.
right.
Oh, so you don't have the default part on your sheet?
I don't
Oh,
think so.
okay.
Yes, we hear
The
it.
first column.
So my point in asking the question is, oh, okay, we have a column of the previous budget, okay.
Okay, and that's
see
that's the default from 2017, so.
I'm sorry, all right.
Yeah.
So my question is then, obviously, if we don't pass the proposed budget with the $200, which is going to have to be spent for the legal notification, then we are going to have only $1 in the default budget for this, and we'll have to find $199 from somewhere.
It'll probably work out. The top section where I have the meetings, I put 2 hours for monthly meetings. Sometimes we only do an hour and a half. Sometimes
that
it's
would be
only an
the-
hour. So I think the top section could pretty much cover us. Because if you look at the bottom, of the very bottom, we do go up from the default, so there's some wiggle room on that.
And,
Yeah,
and just for the public, you have 3 attendants at each of the elections to cover the different functions that the supervisor checklist has to cover.
right.
And would you just describe quickly why there are 3 and what their functions are?
Well, there's 3 supervisors of the checklist, and so when we do an election, all 3 of us are there. And when you look at this, you can see that I have 14 hours that we work per election, because we go in an hour early and we stay an hour late with the 12-hour election. So the elections are 14 hours times 3 times the $10 stipend. The deliberative session, I put it down as 6 hours, but that could be anywhere from 3 hours to 9 hours, depending on how wild and crazy warrant articles are and how long we have to sit there. So we're required to be at elections, because we're election officials. We're required to be at the deliberative session. We're required to hold meetings. Usually there's at least a minimum of 2 prior to every election, so all 3 of us are at our meetings. And then the batching, all 3 of us have to sit down and process. After the election, we have to input everything from the election to the computer. So everything on here is, the elections are pretty much set. We do work 14 hours. The deliberative sessions I put in for 6. Like I said, could be anywhere from 3 to 9, depending. Monthly meetings, I have it down for 12 at 2 hours apiece. Sometimes we take 2 hours, 3 hours, sometimes we finish in an hour. And then the voter verification I have down for 5, because we have to have a meeting process, we have to mail out 30-day letters, and then we have to have another meeting to deal with it. So that's 5 hours. So it's the hours that it takes times 3 of us times $10.
And that comes to $3,210 for this proposed budget with all of these elections and various meetings and verification functions.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Keep going.
Okay, so again, let's see, the mileage, we brought down, the legal notices go up because of the new requirement on the voter verification. Software updates just sits there at $1. Maintenance sits there at $1. Supplies were down for $250. Again, that's left over from 2017. I have it down to $100. Let's see, postage is $50. I did up that because again, the voter verification requires us to mail 30-day letters. And I'm not sure what they are nowadays, they're like 80 cents a piece. So I upped that a little bit because that's going to require some mailings.
I'm showing $150.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, 50, what did I say?
She upped it 100.
I upped it 100,
50
yeah.
was the default.
Yeah, it's 50, and then I upped it 100, so it's 150 to cover the letters, which are a requirement now out of the voter verification. Equipment was down for $400 on the default budget. We have it down for $1. Training sessions were in there at $300. I have it down for $1 ever since I've been doing this for whatever it is now, 7 years. All of our training so far has always been done by the state, and they do it for free. The Secretary of State will always have if there's a big changes, et cetera, then that doesn't cost anything. And then grants are down for $1. So the bottom line is we're up just under $1,100 because of the extra elections.
So I'm showing a total for this function of supervisors, a checklist of 11,000,
No, 3715.
oh, 1,100. Oh, wait a minute, where am I
Down
reading?
here.
Bottom of the second page.
I'm on to the next page.
That's Heritage.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in the wrong spot. You're right, it's down here at the bottom of the page, 3715. And do you feel that that you get adequate training from the state to know the legal requirements for doing this job?
Yeah, they're always sending out emails with, changes in the laws. Sometimes they'll do webinars, sometimes they'll have a Zoom meeting. Before the presidential last year, because it was such a big thing and there were so many rule changes, then they'll have in-person sessions. So it kind of depends. They tend to, because every other year is a primary, they tend to have refreshers. Some of them are in person, some are, like I said, on Zoom or via webinars. But they're always sending out emails and keeping us up to date on what the law changes are, and they've been coming fast and furiously the last couple of years. We just get used to doing one thing, and then they send out a notice and says, nope, now you got to do it this way. And then they developed a new software program, so then we had to learn that. So they're very good about constantly giving us training materials.
All right. Any questions for Joanne on the initial submission of the budget for the supervisor checklist? Nope. Seeing none, I do want to say, Joanne, we appreciate your very diligent and competent running of this particular function.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, the next one that I have on the list is Heritage Commission.
Do you vote to approve the budget as you move forward, or You don't.
Nope, it just is submitted, and we are now we'll be deliberating about it during other meetings.
Okay.
Right, we don't vote on them immediately. This is just to submit them to us.
And then if you have questions for the department head, do they come back later?
We can ask for them to come back, but usually what they present here is kind of the initial starting point. Oh, Is that procedure fall funny with anybody?
Yeah, because we don't really adopt it, because it's.
I think it has to be
on
looked
finance
at
anyway.
as a whole with the rest of the budget.
Right, then we go through and vote on it
Right,
at the end.
right. We vote on them all at the end. So these will build up. You should be starting actually a binder with these in it if you want to. And we'll sometimes get updates to them as we make changes. And we'll keep a binder going so that you have the full budget. That's what I would recommend. All right, so the next one is the Heritage Commission.
Hi, Deb Murphy, Chair of the Heritage Commission. We respectfully request $600 operating budget for next year, which includes our membership in the Preservation Alliance, New Hampshire Preservation Alliance annually, and small projects that we take on throughout the year that may come up. We were thinking of possibly a cemetery tour, which will require small booklets to be printed and things like that. So just a small operating budget to cover any projects that we have that come up.
And Deb, I think this is consistent with what you had in last year's proposed budget.
Correct. It's been that way since I worked on it with Fran Menard, I don't know how long ago, so.
But the default budget is $600, exactly the same, right?
Yep.
So you have gotten $600 in this past year. And as far as the spend on that $600, I'm curious to know, are we using the $600 pretty much using it up?
Last year, we did not spend it and it went back to the town. This year, we have spent it because of the assessment that we had done at the town hall. So we matched the grant from the Preservation Alliance with that, so that will be used this year.
Okay. Any questions for Deb on the purpose of the $600 budget item? All right,
Thank you very much.
thank you, Deb.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next one on my list is the executives. That's yours truly. So we have the Board of Selectmen themselves, and there is a $800 annual stipend, which is to help offset some expenses that we incur. We give it to all five, but only four of the members take it at the moment, in the previous board anyway, last year. So that amounts to $3,200, which is the same as last year. We also have the treasurer. I don't know that we have the treasurer here today. We don't. So oh, Joanne is the treasurer. Oh, that's right. Your two jobs. We do have the treasurer here. Do you want to speak to the treasurer budget? No? Okay, it's, last year was 4160, and we actually have spent, I believe, 3120, if I'm reading this correctly, and we're having a budget again of 4160. And that's based on stipend and some kind of quarterly annual payments, I guess. And then the trustee of the trust funds is $100 in the default budget, but we have a actual spend of $6540, if I'm reading that right, for management fee of the trust funds. And we anticipate in the new budget to have $8,500, which again was the same as last year's new budget, as if I recall, they wanted $8,500, and that's based on the fees that we get charged by our administrator of the trust funds. Is that right, as far as you know, Joanna?
Cambridge's management fee, and then there was $100, which was supposed to be a stipend for the bookkeeper of the trustee.
So the default budget apparently is $100, and this is another area where when we don't get the budget passed, we have to find these funds somewhere else, because this is something that we have to manage and have to do. And then the merit increases, we only have $1 in the default, and we have $400 in the new budget being proposed. And then finally, the interest for PSNH settlement, which is 000 right across the line. Those are the budget line items for the executive section, and it's a total cost of $15,260, which is primarily for the treasurer and the
16,260.
16,260, right?
Yeah, 50, yeah, you said 15.
I did,
16,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, 16,260. And that's for these functions, which is primarily the select board itself, the treasurer, and the trustee of the trust funds.
Longevity awards.
You see a longevity award?
That's what these are, longevity pay is.
Oh, that's part of the merit increases.
Yeah.
Right, right. Longevity award and some anticipated 5-year and 20-year service awards. All right, so being the presenter of that, I'll ask you, are there any questions about the executive budget?
Nope.
All right. We'll accept that into the budget.
Longevity award, some anticipated 5-year and 20 years.
Who is that?
It's him.
Yeah, me talking.
What?
Right, now we're getting double.
He just got busted for lip syncing.
Yeah, see if I can do that again.
Didn't know what was either.
All right, the next one down is advertising. And the only advertising I think we have in the budget is for the NHMA. Is that correct?
It's the annual dues to NHMA.
Annual dues, which is an amount of $4,019 in the default budget. And it's proposed to be $5,452.
Oh,
$5,452
Yeah.
this time, right?
yeah.
And is that based on the increase in the in the dues we asked for by the NHMA?
It is, so their dues are based off of population and the town's valuation.
Then there's nothing else other than that in the advertising budget.
What does that advertising budget get us?
Well, the NHMA does a number of functions for the town, and it's been debated heavily in the past about whether we get our money's worth out of it, but we get a lot of legal advice on things, direction.
Training.
We get a lot of training for the NBC.
Why
training
does
for
it
the
say,
selectmen.
why is that under advertising though?
Yeah, you might argue that it's more of a service or
Right.
training budget or
Well, we
something.
do advertise for jobs on there.
We do use
in their
their-
publication, right? Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of a multifaceted service. All right, any questions on that?
Nope.
We'll put that in our packets. We'll move on to the Memorial Day. So we have $600 in the default budget for Memorial Day. And we have, what comes out of that is flags for veterans' graves primarily, and new large US and POW flags for cemeteries. The proposed new budget is to continue with $600. Any questions on that one? The next one on the list is the Forestry Commission. And the Forestry Commission, I'll confess, is something I don't know much about, and apparently there's not much of a budget. There's a $6 budget, which has 6 lines. Project monitoring, supplies, postage, forestry projects, meetings, and forestry grant. And all of those lines in the default budget are at $1 for a total of $6. And the proposed budget by that department apparently is to keep them all at $1 for a total of $6.
What department is this?
And do we have a committee?
It's
or
a
department?
subcommittee, and I guess we can ask Jeannie Menard. I think she's on the forestry committee, but I don't know who else is on that committee.
Apparently Phil Bilodeau's on the committee. And this is a function that I believe has been largely neglected in previous years. And obviously, I guess from this budget, it's been largely.
In the default budget, it was $1 for each of the line items, and then in the 2025 proposed, it was the same, so that's what I mirrored to create this. But I didn't check with anyone on the committee. I certainly can do that if you would like before we
Yeah,
move
can we
on.
check with that?
Mr.
commission?
Rhodes would like to,
Yeah, they don't spend a lot of money, but they're pretty active. I mean, they monitor all the forests. It's not like they're not doing nothing.
okay,
I'm not on that commission, but they work with the Conservation Commission, and Yeah, so they, you know, they're active.
Perhaps we should have one of the members or the chairman of that commission to.
Jeannie Menard.
Okay. Jeannie Menard? Okay, so why don't we ask Jeannie to explain what activities they're doing, and that'll give us some basis for knowing whether these are the right numbers or not.
And it's not to critique what they're doing, I think, I'd like to know more about what they are and what they do.
Yeah, it's
I'm
not a
coming in
critique,
for over
it's just,
$6.
it's
There's
just
not a whole lot to
curiosity
go
and
at.
information.
It's not even a coffee.
Not even one coffee. Right? All right, we'll take that in the budget pack, and we'll get some more information on that. The next one on the list, and the final one on the list, is debt services. So we have a budget of $1 in the default budget, and the only line that we have $1 in there is for tax anticipation note. And that's the same as the budget this year, so nothing has changed there. So Karen, who's in charge? I suppose you kind of administer anything that would go on in this category?
Yes, this would be for any long-term debt or bonds that the town has issued.
Right, and since we have none, there's simply nothing to do in this category.
Correct, and then you just raise and appropriate the dollar for the tax anticipation note should you need to
Right.
apply for a short-term loan.
Do you want to explain briefly what the tax anticipation note is?
That is a method where the town can borrow money from a bank, anticipate for a cash flow shortage while you're anticipating revenue from tax billings. So it's not an appropriations or an expenditure issue, it's a cash flow problem. It's to solve a cash flow problem.
And also, as far as the process goes, when there's $1 in a category, it's basically saying that we are leaving this category open to spend money. And if there's a 0 in a line, it means that there's 0 can be spent in that line.
Correct.
Right, so even if we wanted to, move money from one category to another, if there's an actual 0 in the line, I think that means we can't use that line.
Correct, but the 0 is only restrictive in prohibiting the expenditure of funds in the line items that are in the 737, which is your posted budget, which is different than the level of detail that are in the budgets that you are presented with tonight.
Right, and I think the selectmen should be aware that we have the right to add or strike lines from the budget. We're not restricted to use these particular lines. We can modify lines and titles, and we can open lines and close lines. Just be aware of that. Any questions about this debt service budget? All right, so those are the ones that we're accepting tonight. And we encourage the public, as I said, to be part of the process, to ask any of the selectmen or Karen questions about what you've just heard on these budget items. All right, regular business. So we have outstanding minutes to go through from the previous meetings. I have them here somewhere. Here they are. So we have the outstanding minutes of August the 25th, both the public meeting and the non-public minutes. I believe you've all gotten these in electronic form to review.
The move is written.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of August 25th, both public and non-public. Any discussion? Any omissions? Any corrections? All right, seeing none. All in favor of approving these minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, next order of business is the voucher payroll manifest. So we have the September 2nd manifest, which we've signed already, right? So most of you, I think all of you actually have been in to sign this manifest for September the 2nd. The amount was $103,726.51 with a gross payroll of $68,481.96. The current payroll manifest that we need to approve tonight is the September 9th payroll. That'll be tomorrow, and that's for $44,137.15.
4437, not 137.
44 and 37. Thanks for that correction, and 15 cents. I'm going to have to get some new glasses. So, are there any questions about the payroll manifest in the amount of $44,037.15? All right, all in favor of approving this manifest for September the 9th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have a memorandum of understanding from the Fire and Emergency Medical Services for the Fire and Emergency Medical Services coverage of the 2025 Deerfield Fair. This is an annual contract that we make with the fair for providing police and fire coverage, and it's been reviewed by the fire chief and the police chief for adequacy of coverage, and also negotiated on the rates, which are not changing from last year. As far as I know, everything is identical in this contract as the 2024 contract. And there are rates for firefighter, firefighter 1, firefighter 2, EMTs, EMTAs, and medics. They range from $18.30 an hour up to $26.49 an hour.
But this MOU is just for the fire department.
Yes.
This one just covers the fire department, that's true. And the total for these services comes up to $25,075.87, which is the cost to the fair. But then we have approved the 15% discount, which is recognizing that the town will also be covered, and if some incident will occur in town, we'll break some of those resources away to cover incidents in the town. So with that discount, the total comes to $25,075.87.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve this MOU with the fire and emergency services for the fair. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion on any of this? Cindy, you're probably most aware of the procedures here on this.
Yeah, no, I'm abstaining.
You will abstain because of being on the staff of the fair. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, and one abstention.
Abstention.
So it's a 3-0-1. Right? Okay. There's a place for the Fair Association, there's a place for the town of Deerfield, so I guess we need to also approve that. I'll sign this on behalf of the Board of Selectmen.
So moved.
All in favor of the chairman signing?
Aye.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of signing by the chairman, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. I'll just pass that down to go on the pile there. We have a kind of an advertisement to go out to solicit a replacement full-time police officer. And Karen, I'm not sure, they're just looking for us, this for information to us, or is this,
I think you probably wanted to wait for Karen to do her
oh, is it in her report?
report.
Okay, all right, we'll hold that then for the town administrator report. Then we have one more thing here, I think, which is the capital improvement program forms that we were receiving.
Those are just the CIPs that the transfer station put in and submitted to the planning board. So I think Suzanne already mentioned all of those when she did her update and when her and Missy were here at the last meeting. So that was just for your records.
So it's for our information. I'll pass that along as well. Is this something we have electronically?
I can forward it to you electronically, yes.
Yes. The only other thing I think we can mention on the heels of the CIP, the Capital Improvement Program submission by the, for the transfer station, is that we have received a letter of resignation from Missy Perone at the transfer station. And her last day is, Karen,
September 18th.
the 18th. And so the Board of Selectmen will be discussing how to handle that situation here. And with that, I think I've completed what I know of for signatures and correspondence. Is there anything else, Karen?
Yes.
There is something.
So I have the MS1 that was completed by Evan Roberge from Avatar. Our net valuation without utilities is going up to about 1.2 million, which is an increase from 718,000 is what the town submitted for total townwide valuation for 2024. So that is about a $500,000 increase, which is a result of the full revaluation. So I just need,
So I'm confused a little bit. Wasn't it 718 million?
yes,
Yeah,
yes, and now we're going up to 1.2 billion. Yes,
1.2 billion, right?
yes.
Which is 500 million. Well, yeah, right. Sorry, I'm sorry.
It's a few zeros.
At least I can share some errors with somebody.
It had me confused.
What's a decimal point?
All right, so this is for our signatures, the MS1 informing us of the total town valuation increase. Is there any questions about what's happening with the increase and why we're going through it, or any of those things? I think we've explained it to the public in the past meetings. All right, do we have a motion to approve the summary inventory evaluation?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? No. All right. So all in favor of approving this summary inventory evaluation, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
We had two tax deeds that were placed on a property. They were both paid but not released. One is from 1985 and one was from 1986, both for the same parcel. So I just need the board, or Kelly has requested that the board sign these so that we can send them over to the Registry of Deeds to get those liens properly released.
So for the last, 50 years, we've held a lien on a deed that had already been paid?
Paid, yes.
Okay. How was this discovered? Did the property owner discover that, or?
I didn't actually ask that question of Kelly. The only question I asked was to confirm that they were indeed paid and that there was no balance due.
Okay. So is there any need for us to vote on this, or is this just something we sign because the tax collector has verified that these are acceptable?
I believe you need to vote to sign and approve them because it was before Kelly's, the way that she explained this to me, it was before she became the tax collector, and so she didn't have the authority to release those.
Okay. So we have these two requests to release the liens for these two properties. Is this something we should announce the properties about? No. Okay. So
Motion to release the liens on the two properties.
Second.
motion and second. Any further discussion?
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Hi, it's Kelly. Sorry.
That wasn't Will this time.
Did I give that information correctly?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have technical difficulties. Sorry to just barge in on your meeting, but yeah, she got it right. I can't release a lien that was before my tenure. So the board, how they find these is when someone purchases a property, a lot of times a title search is done and these scraggly ones are found. So they don't happen that often, and the ones from like the 70s or 80s, they're going to be few and far between, but the board has to officially release them because I wasn't the tax collector at the time.
Okay, thank you, Kelly.
You're welcome.
All right, so we have a motion and a second, and all in favor of approving these two releases of liens signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I didn't know people could just do
I
that.
didn't know they could either. With a motion on the table, no less.
Well, I think it was apropos that the tax collector
Yeah.
speak up.
Not the same person.
Kelly has submitted a refund request for a resident that overpaid for a motor vehicle registration. So this is just for you to approve that.
Okay, no need to vote on it. I guess we should vote. Right?
You should vote on it, and then if you approve it, then I will give that to Pete LeMay to process in next week's payables.
So this is a motor vehicle refund in the amount of $253.14, which has been reviewed and recommended by the tax collector.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor of this refund signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all opposed? One day I'm going to get somebody opposed, which I don't think yet we've had any opposed. So we've been pretty good as a board at being fairly solidarity of opinion. I'm sure that there's days coming.
I have the updated lease agreement between the town and Backwoods Barber Shop. So this has been, this includes all of the changes that the board has discussed and reviewed by council on both sides.
All right, so we have discussed the renewing of the lease for the barber shop here in this building, and it has been reviewed by council for any legal matters. So it's up to us to either approve this or ask further questions. You're looking like you maybe have questions, Jared?
Nope. Motion to approve.
Okay, motion to approve in a second. Any further discussion about the terms of this lease, which we've already discussed in?
I think that we should just probably say that it's been brought to fair market value. And all parties involved are happy about it.
And we're looking for consistency among different tenants.
Correct.
Okay. And we've reviewed the insurance issues about recent items where there's been leaks and things like that, as far as whose liability. All right, so all in favor of approving, oh, we already did this, right? We already voted. Okay, sorry.
We motioned and seconded, but we didn't vote.
Oh, we didn't vote. Okay, that's what I was going to do, but I thought, maybe we
We're in
had.
discussion.
All right. So all in favor of approving the lease for the barber shop, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
So the town utilizes Donahue Tucker and Ciandella as special counsel for the cable franchise agreement that you have with Breezeline. They have drawn up a letter of engagement for the town to utilize them in order to review the draft agreement that is being presented to the town by Comcast. And so this is an acknowledgement and acceptance that they are just special counsel for this one particular matter and will not be involved in any other town matter. So it just draws out sort of the conflicts of interest.
All right, so this is this proposal by this special counsel lawyer to review the Comcast amount. Let me see what that is.
The bill rate is $200 an hour at the most, and then it reduces to $180 and then to $130 an hour for the paralegal team.
And do we have any estimate of the number of hours to do this for the Comcast contract?
I would say no more than $5,000. So the draft agreement that is being presented, it mirrors an agreement that that firm has already approved for another community. So that it's basically kind of a copy and paste, with the only exception is our franchise fees is going to mirror what we have in the Breezeline contract, because it can't be more favorable or less favorable than what we're already
We're
accepting.
paying Breezeline's counsel to look at our contract?
No, we use Donahue Tucker Ciandella to represent the town to review the Breezeline's. But there was a separate agreement that DTC did for Comcast with another town, and so because it's public record, we can view that and sort of use that as a template.
And so the range of cost for this reviewing of the contract for Comcast is how much? That's what I was trying to.
Between 130 an hour to 200.
But the number of hours is not estimated?
No, not on that.
So what controls then the number of hours they can spend if they have kind of an open book that just
It would
keeps
just
going, right?
be
How much
the-
review do we need?
Well, it would be the number of revisions that are being asked of the town and how much negotiating they have to do back and forth.
So we don't really know how much this could cost us, right? Depends on
It's
how
not a
much
not
time.
to exceed budget, but it shouldn't be very costly. We already have the draft agreement. We just need to send it and get their kind of okay.
I would feel more comfortable if we had a not to exceed number.
Yeah, I don't like voting on something with no dollar amount attached.
Well, we have hourly rates, but
Yeah,
we don't
but-
have a total.
Yeah, maximum, yeah.
Right.
Where did you get your $5,000 projection?
That's just based off of my experience and what we've spent on legal fees, looking at franchise agreements in the past.
It seems like if I were doing a personal contract of this type, I would have a not to exceed estimate. And then they could exceed it, but they'd have to tell you in advance and say, hey, we need more hours because there were more revisions than we
Yeah.
anticipated, or some reason, you know.
That would sound better, yeah.
Put a $5,000 cap on it, and if it's going to exceed that, they have to come back for another approval.
Are you guys comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I have a personnel action request. This is just reclassifying Charles Butler from an on-call firefighter to a per diem member.
And it's being recommended by the fire chief.
Chief Fisher, yes.
So it's a reclassification from on-call to per diem, recommended by Chief Fisher. And looking for an approval, and it looks like the chairman only signs on this one.
Back to the letter of engagement, if they are willing to add the $5,000 cap, will the board grant me authority to sign the contract so I don't have to wait 2 more weeks to execute?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, we need a motion for that.
Motion to have the town administrator sign on our behalf,
On the provision that 5,000,
on the provision of $5,000 cap.
Second,
motion and second, any further discussion? All in favor of giving the town administrator the authority to sign that contract with that provision, signify by saying aye.
aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
All right, back to this personnel action request. This is for part-time firefighter. The hourly rate will be $19.61, effective, it says August 14th, so I guess it's a retroactive. Any questions? Any discussion? All right, we need a motion to approve this request and to have the chairman sign.
Motion to approve and have the chairman sign.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor of this personnel action request, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That's it?
For signatures, yes.
All right, and then you have your town administrator's report?
Yes.
Okay.
So just a reminder, the auction for 13 Pine Ave will be held this Saturday, September 13th at 10 a.m. Previews are available by appointment with the auctioneer or beginning at 9 a.m. on the 13th. Frank Pochapin, he is our new building inspector. He started in the office today.
What are his hours going to be?
We haven't determined a set number of hours to see sort of, today he was sort of getting settled in. He went out for a couple of inspections. And then we'll post sort of what in-office hours will be versus inspection hours.
How much are his monthly hours? Is it 30, 32, 40,
He is budgeted at 32 hours per week.
32?
Officer Pasquale Espinoza graduated from the 200th class at Police Standards and Training on August 22nd. Officer Alexander Mollet resigned effective 8/29. And as such, a full-time posting was posted by Chief Duquette on NHMA and on Indeed. The school board invited you guys to a meeting on the 17th of September at 6 p.m. to discuss the potential sale of school-owned land. And I was just looking to see if a quorum is planning to attend, if I should post it as a meeting, or if you're just sending a representative as a designee.
I will be there.
I will be there.
I will be there.
Okay,
We
so
need a
post the
meeting.
meeting.
We need to post it.
The last week set for budget presentations is October 13th, which is a holiday, and the offices are closed. So would you like to post a meeting for the 14th, which is that Tuesday, just prior to the NBC meeting to review those last budgets? Or would you like to push your presentations to the following Monday, the 20th?
Is that going to mess up the NBC meetings?
Slightly. Both of them sort of will.
And we don't really know if we're going to need this because we might finish even before, right? So it's kind of hard to say if we,
Well, you won't finish before. This is the last week that departments are coming before the select board, so.
okay, so we'll still be receiving budgets.
And you could finish even later than this, depending on how the budget presentations go throughout the months of September and October.
Yeah,
I don't know
I-
how often you bring them back.
I would think that we would, if that's the last meeting for us to approve the budget in total, right? I would have thought that we would have not have new budgets being proposed to us that very day. Doesn't give us adequate time to review and look at the whole thing. So I would suggest that we look at the schedule that we have and see if we can get those last budgets presented earlier in the cycle. Is that possible?
You could, I mean, you could, but you'd have very long meetings, because right now the schedule is set so that you're looking at 6 or 7 budgets every week. The week after, once you're going up through the fair, then you have police one week, then you have fire and highway the following week after. I think it's police and libraries together, and then,
So we have the biggest budgets last.
yes, so they'll be the most time
Yeah,
intensive.
so I definitely think we need to be getting those budgets before the day that we have to approve them to meet our deadline for the MBC. So why don't we look at the schedule and see if we can combine some of those so that we can get them at least a week before to review and properly do the whole thing. What's the rest of the board feel?
Like,
I'd like to get a chance to look at them.
but you guys are talking about reviewing them in your emails at home separately prior, right?
Yeah,
Prior to.
but having no chance publicly to discuss them.
Right,
We need
which
to
is
have
the
a
budget
public session
presentation
to
night.
discuss them, right?
Right, so the intention would be just like you did this week, where I send out the agenda the week prior with the budgets that are to be presented that following Monday, and then, so you'd have the weekend to sort of go through all of that data. So that's the intention with all of the departments throughout the whole season.
Well, we can do it that way, but we risk, if we don't agree, and there's still work to be done on those larger budgets that come in last, we're going to have to tell the NBC that we're simply not ready. Or issue them a budget and tell them that we haven't adequately reviewed it, which I would loathe to do that.
Did we have 2 meetings the previous week?
Yeah, we could, if we get into a crunch,
Monday, Friday or something?
we could do something, we could call some alternate meetings and ask for those budgets, let's say on Friday.
Yeah,
and
Friday, yeah.
review them
Are
in
we meeting
public.
weekly now?
Yes. So they're every Monday from now through October 13th.
So let's see if we can think about that schedule so that we don't get budgets presented to us the same day that we have to approve them to send them off to NBC.
Okay. A resident would like to rent the second floor of the town hall. There would be less than 25 people. The sprinkler system is repaired and Chief Fisher is comfortable with it. Does the board approve? Ray Ellis had said that there was some prohibition prior to about using the second hall, the second floor of the town hall.
Is there any statement of purpose or,
Well, it's a private rental.
okay. Any discussion on the board about renting the second floor of the town
Do we
hall?
usually rent the second floor?
No,
I
but
don't-
as long as the chief is okay with it, I'm okay with it.
Why was there an issue in the past?
Sprinkler system?
That's all it was?
I think that
There
was
wasn't
part of it.
anything else?
What's the capacity? That probably was,
They said less than 25, so it shouldn't,
be all right, in my eyes.
Yeah.
Quick backtrack, you said meeting every week until October 13th?
yes,
October 13th is Columbus Day?
yes.
We having a meeting on Columbus Day?
Well, no, that was
why
the
we're
intention
talking
of the
about
question, was to ask if you're meeting, if you wanted to meet that Tuesday or the following week.
Now it makes sense. I wasn't looking at the right month.
Perhaps we would meet Friday of the previous week.
Which would be the
But we'll figure that out and get the schedule revised. All right, so I sense consensus that we're okay with the renting of the second floor of the town hall. Okay.
Is any a vote?
I don't think so. She's just looking for consensus.
Is there another weeknight that the board is consistently available that we could try to, so if I'm going to revise the whole meeting schedule and the presentation schedule with department heads, that there's a few nights that I can,
I would prefer to do any night but Wednesdays or Fridays myself. Because Wednesday nights are tricky and Friday nights are Friday nights, but I wouldn't even care if we did Monday and Tuesdays.
Thursday would be, what about Thursday? I guess
Tues-
Thursdays would be
fine
good,
with me,
yeah.
too.
A
And
Thursday would
Tuesdays
be better.
are
If we did like the
NBC.
previous third, which would be what, the 9th, 10/9?
do Thursdays work for you guys
Yep.
usually? Same start time?
Sure.
Okay. The PEX piping project at GBW is complete. It was completed on time and on budget.
So when do we get to retest the water to see if that,
They already did one testing and it passed for bacteria, but I haven't received the results for copper. And just to put you guys on notice, the AC condenser, which is located on the rooftop at Central Station, has failed. It is leaking. The leak has been contained and the condenser will need to be replaced, but that can wait until spring.
So
that's the AC for Central Station? We don't even,
It's a rooftop condenser. I don't know why.
It's just,
we don't have anybody over there during the day.
yeah, it's the AC for the second floor, right?
No, there's only one floor
Well, there's that roof, isn't there a loft?
at Central. Oh, it's Central, duh. Never mind. Forget it.
Yeah, okay.
I was thinking south.
Oh, yeah. There's nothing in south, that's right.
And that is all I have for public session.
Does Ray Ellis still have the testing kits that we were using for our monthly testing? Was he doing those all in-house?
He does do some of them in-house, and then some of them, Granite Analytical comes in and does, they do some testing and samples also.
All right,
Can I go back to the AC condenser? Who looked at the,
I don't know
and
if I've
said
seen a
it failed?
copper, like,
It froze and then it was leaking, and so we had Granite State as part of their
I've
regular
seen lead ones.
contract. They came out and reviewed it and said that it wasn't working, so they gave us an estimate for some of the repairs. But I didn't want to release the numbers because then if the board chooses to put it out to bid, then that's all public information.
It just seemed like we had this issue before and it was an easy fix. I'll
I
have to
heard that
check
the
on that.
condenser is leaking, and that they would
Yeah.
replace the condenser.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a series of tubes.
It happened before because of cooking up there and it like overworked it and it froze
Yep,
and it leaked. I don't know, I'll have to double check.
okay.
All right, we're not taking any action on that, and we are waiting
Right.
until spring to actually install it.
Yep.
All right, is there any other regular business? That ends the town administrator report. Any other regular business, any other business? Seeing none?
I
Oh,
was actually just thinking, where are we at with the septic system? Are we just still monitoring it every week, or do we have any plan to open up an access road to get down so we could pump out the siphon chamber before winter? Or are we just hoping for the best?
The last update that I had received was that we were waiting for test pits to be dug across the street. How you get there and when that's done, I don't know.
And Paul was gonna do those, right? Or-
I think,
Just thinking, because now we're getting back in the sports season where those fields are gonna be used again, and we missed a really nice dry opportunity of crossing that field. I just don't want to be smack dab in January or February with a septic tank, a septic failure up here.
why don't we ask Pete and Paul and Matt about their plan to do that?
Would we be able to use some of the tree cutting budget to open that road up? Because that would be,
It is tree cutting.
it would be tree cutting.
Yeah, but
I think he's used all of that budget line.
Well, he's got 30-something in a warrant, and then I think he had 3 on his regular line.
That tree cutting, that was for the ash trees, right? That was.
Was it specifically verbiage towards ash trees? I don't want to steal from the town, from that, I'm just thinking, if we do end up with a bad winter, I want to make sure we can get down there in a pinch, and I'd really like to at least evaluate that before it gets bad out, or winter falls on us.
Wasn't that tree cutting warrant article, isn't that in relation to cemeteries?
Nope.
No?
Highway department dedicated,
Yeah, it was for general tree cutting around the town.
yeah. Was he a 30 or 35? And I don't think. he
35.
touched it. And then I think there was another 3 just on the line.
Yeah, last year we increased it from 11 to 35.
Right. I mean, it'd be great if the guys could actually do it or have them do what they can. I'm just thinking, well, the weather's favorable and the leaves are coming down. I want to be able to get down there if we need to in a pinch, because I know that's going to give us trouble in the worst possible time of year.
All right, let's look into that with Pete and the town administrator. Is there any other business? Seeing none, we do have to go into a non-public session, and I'll ask the vice chairman to read the justification. But before we do that, I want to ask for public comment so that those who want to give public comment don't have to wait for us to go through our non-public session. Public comment. Ms. Katie?
Mostly they're little things, but I think that the Forestry Commission should be handling the cutting of town forests. I know it goes to the Conservation Commission now, but the Forestry Commission had a cutting this year. How much money did we get? What amount of timber did they cut out of the town forest, et cetera? I think should have been a written report, and I still believe it comes under the Forestry Commission and not the Conservation Commission. That's my thought.
Yeah, I think we've already said that we're going to have the Forestry Commission explain a little bit about their activities.
I thought the only forest that got cut off this year was the state portion of Bear Brook in Deerfield. I don't think we had anything done.
Right, I'm not aware that we cut any town forests.
Right.
Well, if they cut, I know they cut, they came in and were going to cut, and maybe it was last fall, I don't know, but I do know there was a cutting done up the big forest that's up on Nottingham Road, is it?
I'm not aware of that.
Kate.
Kate Road?
One of the things I would like to see, and we did years and years ago, do a one meeting a year with the abutting town selectmen. Not, maybe all of them would come, but the town selectmen would get together and discuss the various things. And one of the things tonight you took up was the plowing. And I am sure if they're going to raise their prices, if all the towns agreed on what would be the fee, then you would have a better chance at getting people locally maybe here while they would get their local there. But it should be something that you just have a discussion of problems you encounter or things you're thinking about doing that could work as a contract with 3 towns going in together. So it's something to think about. When are you going to start your weekly meetings, which usually start with budget?
I think tonight was the first.
Weekly meeting.
So we've met tonight, we'll meet every week now. And we,
Next week, you'll have one on Monday, too?
yes, and we received the first set of budget packets this week, as I explained. That's the start of the budget process.
And I heard the chairman of the supervisors of the checklist say they're advertising in the Concord Monitor. We've always advertised for Deerfield in the Union Leader because that's the newspaper of general circulation, the most circulation in Deerfield. If you ask each newspaper how many papers they sell in Deerfield, you'll find the Union Leader is the majority, excuse me. Shouldn't the NHMA budget, because it is a selectman majority use, be under the selectman's budget? Advertising doesn't even begin to fit their job description.
We're not the only department that utilizes them, are we? No,
All of them do.
everyone does.
They put on workshops that some of the, like zoning, planning board would go.
Yeah, there's a lot of training sessions that they offer, and legal advice, and
All the departments,
Paperwork.
all the land use boards. I attended one for a select board and land use boards.
Yep.
But it's more than just the select board that's utilizing their services.
Oh, I know they do, but I'm saying that it would normally come under the facilities we have for selectmen's use. You limit anybody that is in the town offices or such from using them to the selectmen. So if I was serving on a commission and I wanted a question answered legally, I would come to a select board and ask, would you please get an answer to this question?
yeah, that has been our practice, to not let
I understand.
anyone engage them. They have to do it through us.
But I think it's either you open a line in the budget for, like we pay, I don't know, is it $5,000 a year to belong to the guy that checks our forests for us? It's about, we give him money to make sure he's checking that there's nobody going in and cutting them or misusing them or living in them even.
I'm not aware of that.
You didn't know that?
No,
But we do.
okay.
And it comes out of the Conservation Commission, but I think it's,
Forest Commission is.
it may be time that we have a budget line for town facilitating agencies such as Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission is mostly for the planning board. But sometimes the selectmen might call them and say, can you give me the information on the roads? Because they get all the information from the state on what's going to happen with 101, 107, 43 every year. And then tell whoever our appointees are. I served on it for 9 years, so I know what they did when I was in Raymond. And have we received a report from Evan on how many appeals of the overall revaluation have been done and how many were granted?
I haven't received any report. I do know there have been a large number of appeal hearings. He's been scheduled for a lot of them. But I don't have a report on the total or how much change there's been. Do we get that report?
The board will receive a use PAP report once it's submitted to DRA for review. The board will also receive a copy. And abatements for the reval follow the same cycle, so those are due, or folks can apply for them between January 1 and March 1st of 2026.
Well, I know when they do abatements, I understand that. This was, he did a townwide revaluation, and then he held 2 or 3 day hearings with people, and they would come in and say why they were dissatisfied or if something was wrong. How many of those at that appeal got revised is what I'm saying.
That I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I
we
can
could
ask
ask,
Evan.
we could ask him for an estimate at least.
Because when they send out the tax bill, you have till March 1st, the last tax bill of the year, you have till March 1st to appeal it. And that's probably when the most appeals will go to the Board of Tax and Land Appeals.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Katie.
Suzanne Steele, 8 Harvey Road. Two things, well, two different items. First is, I was just at VZ, and I know that early in the season, there was something that Karen had brought up that I was going to about the erosion that was happening there. I don't know how frequently, if anyone had visited VZ at all this summer, but I go several times a week, and the erosion is much worse now. So I just didn't know if that was still on the docket to have it addressed before the ground freezes.
Yeah, I also go by every day and see it. And it is a lot of erosion. You can see the sand that's down into the underwater swimming area. And we have a standing request to the BZ Park Commission to give us an explanation or, any plans that they have to address that.
Yep.
We did note early in the season that it was done apparently without a DES permit, and there, perhaps without an understanding of the previous study that had been done to put those barriers in place to prevent erosion. So there's been a lot of questions. I haven't heard a peep out of the commission. I
Okay,
guess
and
we
then-
can renew our request for them to explain, why they did what they did. And if it's just that they didn't know and we need to have a plan to correct it, that's fine too.
Right.
We're not-
I believe that they did submit a permit to DES. I'm not sure where that is in the permitting process now, but I can certainly follow up and ask for an update.
Yeah, I think they submitted a permit in advance, or whatever you call it, after the fact.
And then any other questions can go to the VZ Commission, the VZ Park Commission.
And, not only the beach is eroded, but the whole parking area and the entire parking area and the walkway down to, for people who have trouble walking, it would be highly dangerous for people. So I'm grateful that no one has been injured during this season, but, it's a whole nother story. Okay.
So there is a multi-level series of grates and drains, and the water problem in that property starts up at the road. So it's
Yes.
possible that those haven't been maintained, or they filled up, or this last rain event we just had wreaked havoc on everything because the ground was so dry, everything just slid across the top of it. But that could probably be a big part of it, if those basins and the drains need to be serviced, if you will, because they run across the parking lot, they run up by the entrance. There's another one a little bit further down, and those catch the water and slow it down before it hits the beach.
Yeah, the biggest single issue of threat to Pleasant Lake is not contamination by chemicals, but rather sediment accumulation in the lake. And it's from these kind of things that, because once that sand washes into the water, the wave action just continues to move it downhill by gravity until it eventually finds the deep spot, and deep spot becomes less deep. So the filling of the lake has been studied actually by a graduate student at the University of New Hampshire in recent years, and that was one of the biggest things they found was the filling of the lake with sediment was alarming compared to the fill rate of other lakes in the state of New Hampshire. So they've alerted us to that problem, and we've been looking at the 9 tributaries that feed the lake, looking for the culprits of construction and things like the beach erosion, which are contributing to that. So I would like to have the next agenda include the VZ Park Commission to address the issues that are being brought up by the public and as well as by board members.
And now I'm going to transfer literally to the transfer station. So it's very, very disturbing that Missy has given her notice. I can't say that I understand. There's a lot to juggle. But I know you, as the board, are well aware now that you have one young man who is certified, Camden Brown, who is 20 years old. He is the only certified person on Tuesdays and Saturdays after Missy's last day on the 18th next week. And Sebastian is 18. And then you have David Bowles, who is, you know, a borrowed person from Canterbury, who is just there on Thursdays. So we are in quite a world of hurt, I would say. And that's putting it lightly. And, you know, I am there just because I can be, and I want to communicate with the residents. The website is very much in need of improvements. I know it's not my responsibility to update the transfer station page under the town's website, but there's still a lot of very old documents that need to be updated. So there was a woman who was quite upset the other day because she was about to put things into the bulky number 10 and 11, and we stopped her before doing that, and she was very frustrated because she said there's no communication anywhere about where things go and, you know, signage, and, you know, there's a lot of things that need to be addressed, and I just am happy to speak with any or all of you at any given point, but I just wanted to express some concern that I have.
What happened to the signage that we were gonna have done in the beginning of all this? Did we get those signs done?
David Bowles he gave us a sign for scrap metal.
Yeah,
The
no,
other
in the
signs that
beginning.
we already have, the thought process was to have the railings and everything replaced and then put the signs and, you know, kind of put signs on a good foundation versus try to, you know,
I think we're probably gonna
haphazard.
have to bypass that because the railings doesn't look like it's gonna be done anytime too soon.
Well, safety is critical, and
We received a quote a couple of weeks ago for $3,300 from a local fence company to replace the 80-ish feet of railing ranging from one side of recyclables down to the building, including 2 gates to seal off the catwalks. This would fix the railings that are there, aiding in safety, and it would also make it so we could properly attach signage to the railings to make things a little bit more easier to decipher.
Was it to fix the railings or to
To
replace?
replace them.
replace them.
Yeah.
That's
This
one
is
of the
in-
CIPs.
You could use impact fee monies for so the transfer station is one of the few departments that already receives impact fees, and there would be enough in that current account balance if you wanted to utilize it towards that purpose.
So we got two quotes on a similar project. One of them was $9,000, and the other one was 30.
I want to say 3,800.
If you
Let's
need
look
me
at
to
our
find it, I
impact
will.
fees and see what we have.
There's 17,000 in your transfer station impact fee account.
How much?
17,000.
Well, let's
I
get
move
it
to
done.
use impact fees to replace the 80 feet of railing at the transfer station immediately
And which vendor and which
Second.
cost?
from whoever it was who
3,800?
sent it.
Was
it
that the
30? It was less than that, I thought.
Oh, it was 2,800, even better.
No,
20?
that didn't include the gates. There was a second one.
I remember 3,300.
3,400, I
We're all
think.
remembering different numbers.
Hold on.
But I think we can approve,
Yeah, this one we've messed around with too much, and it's such a liability and such an eyesore over there. Let's just knock it out, get it done.
and it's not over $10,000, so we don't have to go out for
send it to
bids.
bid.
No, second, let's get
We've
it done.
had 2 bids anyway that we've
Let's
looked
just
at.
clear up the number so we know it for
Yeah,
the
right.
motion.
We need the actual number.
Karen can probably get that.
See who gets to it first.
But you, because this
so is
app is terrible.
Who's got it? Come on, Suzanne.
Nope.
I think I have it. I do. It's right here. $3,400, Great East Fence.
Up 235.
Is that what you remember, Jared?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do up 235.
So we have a motion to approve $3,400 expense for Great East Fence to replace the portion of barrier from the recyclables over to the building.
Correct.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Oh, well, you made the
a
motion.
You can't second it.
I was repeating. the motion.
Well, you said it threw me off.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion about approving this replacement of the barrier?
What was the timeline for replacement?
I did not have the conversation with this person. I could find out by calling the number and speaking to the individual. There's no timing on this
I could
quote.
shoot him a text. Karen could shoot him a message. to
I would ask,
notify.
I would ask Ray to follow up and then have him oversee the project as part of his, Ray, as part of
Ray?
the facilities.
Since it's an item of safety, I would encourage the vendor, of course, to respond as fast as possible, not to delay anything.
We were
What are you thinking?
kicking it down the road 10 minutes ago. We'll let them know tomorrow that we'd like it done ASAP.
Okay.
Because I forgot about that quote myself. And what refreshed my memory is we took on the quote for our CIP
Yes.
for the solid waste committee and the transfer station. So if that's something that we have an impact fee budget right now to utilize, it'll be a worthwhile expenditure. Get some
Does Ray have the
signages up,
capa, oh, I'm
and
sorry.
If it adds to the safety and the functionality and efficiency of the place, especially right now while we're shorthanded in training, it's money well spent.
I agree. Any further discussion?
Nope.
All right, all in favor of the motion to expend $3,400 to replace the barriers at the transfer station signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. And then in a related matter to what Suzanne has brought up, I've been disappointed with the ability of the town to maintain its website, to put out decent IT items, including continuing to receive emails from the town administrator with an old town administrator's name on them. And we've asked specifically about that, and it hasn't been done. The website is horribly out of date and never updated, rarely updated. I would like a report on the agenda for the next meeting to have the IT person come in and give us a report on what he's doing for the amount of money that he's making from us and our budget, and we can ask questions about why we're not seeing the kind of performance that we should be seeing from him. So Karen, if you'll make that happen, please, unless there's some objection by other board members?
You beat me to it.
I've been asking for it.
Okay. We would like to see him in person if possible.
I have one other
And
transfer
Suzanne,
station.
okay, you,
Said two.
I know, but this is still transfer station.
Okay.
okay.
Are you and this might be part of your non-public, are you expecting to do some type of exit interview with Missy to understand all of the, the reasons why she just gave her notice?
It is our policy to do an exit interview for all employees that we do, so that's not something that we need to hide in a non-public. We will be doing an exit interview.
I typically do them not at the board level.
The town administrator performs those.
Karen? Okay. All right.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Seeing none. Cindy, would you read the B and D for the non-public session?
The 91A3B, the hiring of any person is a public employee.
And D
Where are you seeing B?
is here.
Oh, okay. And then D, consideration of the acquisition, sale, or lease of real or personal property which is discussed in public would likely benefit a party or parties whose interests are adverse to those of the general community.
All right. Roll call for approving to go into non-public session. Greg?
Yes.
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
And Will, yes. All right.
No,
Didn't take any yet.
we didn't do anything that whole hour.
All right, are we back online? Okay. So I'll call to order the resumption of the public session. Do we have a motion concerning the non-public session?
A motion to seal the minutes of our non-public session.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Roll call, Greg?
Yes.
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 And yes. All right, we're now in resumption of our public meeting. And we did have a request, I was just reminded, from the NBC to have an alternate selectman in case the current appointee to the NBC cannot make the meeting, or not cannot make it, but simply is unavailable for the meeting. So we have a provision in the NBC to allow remote participation, which I have done in the past at certain times. Next week would be an example if we had a meeting next week. But they won't want to have an alternate in case the other person can't be at all in attendance of the meeting, to have an alternate to make decisions and votes. Is there anyone interested in serving as an alternate in the unlikely event that I wouldn't be able to participate remotely or in any case? I doubt that that would happen, but it could.
How often are they meeting?
Often?
I think starting on October 14th, they'll meet weekly.
It's seasonal, yeah.
Yeah, it's weekly, and there's some discretion by the chairman to cancel meetings that are on the schedule if they don't need them, and then to have rush extra meetings at the end when they do need them. So it's a little bit loosey as far as how many meetings. I have attended all of them in the past, so there's unlikely that whoever the alternate is would have to serve very many meetings.
What night are they?
They're Tuesday nights in general, but there's also some Saturday sessions, Saturday mornings, 9 o'clock.
Saturdays are just around the deliberative session and public hearing times, I think, right?
Well, they usually have a couple of Saturdays on the schedule if they need them, but they rarely need them. And they do tend to meet on the Saturday morning around the deliberative to see if there's any changing to their votes that might be based on things that were said in the deliberative. So we've done that in the past.
I could do it.
Anybody else? Any comments? All right, so Greg would be named as our alternate. I guess we should vote on that. All in favor of Greg serving as an alternate for the NBC this year, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I swore we did this weeks ago.
I think you did, but I can't remember who you picked.
Who's that?
Oh, it was him? So you're just reaffirming that vote?
We just talked about it.
I swore we voted on
Well,
it.
the alternate doesn't even know he's an alternate, so.
I think we talked about it. I don't think we ever voted on it.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned in a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
My question was actually